to welcome you all to this important event, the official launch of Somalia First National Adaptation Plan, or NAP. This moment marked an historic milestone for Somalia, a country that has shown remarkable determination in advancing climate action, despite being among the most climate vulnerable and fragile contexts in the world. The NAP 2026-2030 represents a bold step forward. It provides a comprehensive framework to strengthen resilience, safeguard livelihood, and promote inclusive, climate-resilient development. Today, we will hear from national leaders, international partners, and financing institutions on how Somalia's NAP can help transform climate challenges into opportunity for sustainable growth, stability, and shared prosperity. To open this important session, I'm pleased to invite first Dr. Paul Desanker, Adaptation Division, UNFCCC, to deliver the welcome remarks. Please, round of applause for Dr. Desanker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. It's a real pleasure to be here. I work for the Secretariat and support the development of national adaptation plans, the NAPs. So we're very, very delighted to be part of this event. Your NAP is perhaps one of the model NAPs that we've seen so far that goes beyond just producing a document, but actually working on attractive and ambitious implementation plan. So we wish you all the best, and I know that you had issues to get started, but once you got started, you moved very quickly, and you have a very ambitious and a very, very nice looking NAP, and we wish you every success, and we look forward to your successful implementation. We stand ready to assist you. We do organize a number of capacity building activities in the region, and your team has always been part of this and very actively contributing to those efforts. So we look forward to continued support to your country, and we hope to hear from your team every year as they progress nicely and build resilience that we all must do. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and welcome everybody. So we look forward to a very nice NAP and a successful adaptation program in Somalia. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Desanker, for your inspiring remarks and for highlighting Somalia's progress in advancing climate resilience and the UNFCCC support in the NAP launch. I'm now pleased to invite His Excellency Lieutenant General Bashir Mohamed Jama, Minister of Environment and Climate Change of the Federal Government of Somalia, to deliver the keynote address and officially launch Somalia National Adaptation Plan. Your Excellency.
Estimated colleagues, partners, and friends, it is a great honor to join you this afternoon to launch Somalia's first national adaptation plan, 2630, a historic milestone in our nation's climate resilience journey. This plan represents the collective determination of the Federal Republic of Somalia and our partners to protect lives, livelihoods, and ecosystems in one of the world's most climate vulnerable settings. For Somalia, adaptation is not a choice, it is a necessity for survival and sustainability. The National Adaptation Plan provides a clear, evidence-based framework to build resilience across 5 priority sectors: agriculture, water resources, health, infrastructure, and biodiversity, while ensuring that adoption measures also contribute to peace, poverty reduction, and sustainable development. Our NAP is fully aligned with Somalia's NDC 3 2.0. The long-term emissions development strategy, LT-LEDS, and the National Transformation Plan 2025-2029, forming a current national framework for climate action and green growth. We recognize that none of this would have been possible without the leadership and support of our valued partners. To the NFCCC, we thank you for your continued guidance in advancing adaptation planning and for recognizing Somalia's efforts under the Paris Agreement. To NDC partnership, led by Maria Banuccio Feldman, we are grateful for your hands-on support in integrating adaptation and investment planning and for helping Somalia strengthen institutional capacity and coordination. To the Islamic Development Bank, represented here by Dr. Dauda Ben Omar Indiaye, thank you for championing innovative finance solutions that address fragility while unlocking private sector participation in climate resilient development. To the Adaptation Fund, we appreciate your long-standing commitment to turning plans into action and ensuring that Somalia's most vulnerable communities receive the support they need most. And to UNDP, our steadfast partner and co-organizer of this event, your technical expertise and program leadership from the GCF support readiness projects to the NAP formulation itself have been instrumental in bringing this vision alive. Our NAP identifies a financing requirement on approximately USD 2.4 billion to implement adaptation actions nationwide. We are determined to mobilize this through a mix of domestic resources, international climate finance, and private sector investment, building on mechanisms such as GCF readiness, adaptation fund projects, and Islamic finance innovations. But financing alone is not enough. We must also invest in institutional capacity, data systems, and inclusive governance, ensuring that adaptation benefits are equitable, gender responsive, and conflict sensitive, leaving no community behind. As we mark this milestone today, we reaffirm Somalia's commitment to transforming climate risks into opportunities and resilience and growth. We invite all parties here, multilateral, bilateral, and private, to join us in this next phase, turning the NAP from plan into measurable, life-changing action. With your continued cooperation, we can make Somalia a model for how adaptation is fragile and conflict-affected context can drive peace, sustainability, and prosperity. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that compelling address and for your leadership in driving Somalia's climate resilience agenda. Indeed, Somalia's NAP present not just a technical document, but a national commitment to deliver climate resilient development that supports livelihoods, enhance governance, and contribute to peace. To take us deeper into the NAP priorities, scope, and financing strategy, I now invite Mrs. Hafsa Abdullah, Director of Climate Change Department at the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, to present Somalia's NAP 26-2023.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon to you all, Minister Bashir, His Excellency Bashir, and also our UNFCC NAB lead, Mr. Ronald, and everyone who joined us. Thank you very much for celebrating with us for the big day event that we are launching our Somalia's National Adaptation Plan. As Minister Bashir mentioned it, adaptation is not choice in Somalia. It is survival. It's what we need to survive now and ever. That's why National Adaptation Plan is very important. National Adaptation Plan is a whole document which highlights the areas that Somalia needs to adapt to climate change, and the other side, the areas that climate change affected. So let me take you through the process of National Adaptation Plan or the adaptation in Somalia. Somalia joined it and UNFCCC around 2009. And also you can see the gap between 1994 and 2009. When we joined it, we started the ratification of the protocols. We developed 2023 NABA, and also 2015 we developed our intended national determined contribution. And again, the process is going. Around 2018, we developed our initial national communication, and also in 2021, we developed our updated NDC. And in 2022 to 2023, we developed our biennial update report, and also outcome means adaptation communication. And 2024, we submitted and launched technology need assessment, which has the technologies for climate change adaptation and also mitigation. Also in 2024, as a Somali context, we have a national transformation plan, which has 4 pillars. One of the main pillars is environment and climate resilience, has 3 key areas. One of the main key areas is adaptation. And also 2025, which is this year, we submitted our national adaptation plan and also our NDC 3. The process of the roadmap of adaptation Somalia took it that way. So, and in a national adaptation plan that we have submitted, and when we use it in institutional engagement, when we develop a NAP formulation, it was the governance Somali system, federal and member states. And the Minister of Environment and Climate Change was the leading institution, the formulation of National Adaptation Plan, and all line ministries was part of it. But there is specific line ministries who got the opportunity to capacitate and also have a tools which align it adaptation. Like Minister of Planning and Economic Development, they got the development and capacity building and national adaptation plan. And also Ministry of Women and Human Rights, we developed a toolkit called it Gender and Climate Change Adaptation. And also Ministry of Finance, we developed it together and for financing strategies for national adaptation plan. And each ministry, they received tailored climate adaptation manuals and participated in the training to integrate adaptation into their section plans. When it comes to the member state levels, we have 5 federal member states. Every federal member states, they have their own vulnerability assessment, which highlights which climate change is affecting based on the context, geography, and the populations. And when we developed vulnerability assessment, and then we developed a state national adaptation plan, which is somehow different when comparing region to region. And in the member states, the lead ministry was the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. In the member states, all of them, they participated in capacity building workshops, and also they got the strength in their technical and capacity for the sector-specific adaptation integration. For this process engagement in the formulation, the result was our Somali NAP was inclusive and multi-sectoral strengthening, and also it is capacitated our institutional, whether federal and member states. Somalia has a national adaptation plan which has a finance close to 2.4 billion over 5 years. So our priorities is agriculture, water management, health, infrastructure. When it comes to infrastructure, including all disaster risk management systems. So you can see the highest cost is in agriculture because Somalia 75% we rely on our agriculture. So when it comes to financing strategies, this NAP it needs implementation and also it has a 2.4 billion to implement. So when we implement, we will do different financing strategies, domestic and international financing strategies. When it comes to domestic, we wanted to mobilize resources, various national adaptation plan through both domestic and international. From domestic, we allocated 20% of NAP budget, national budget. And also, and this national budget, we wanted to mainstream climate adaptation budgets, prioritizing vulnerable sectors like agriculture and water. Also, private sector engagement. We encourage investment in infrastructure in a sustainable agriculture via public-private partnership and tax incentives, and also community investment. We want to make the national adaptation plan when we wanted to implement community-led activities, promote small-scale adaptation initiatives like water conservation, sustainable farming, and so on. And also international climate fund, we allocated 70% of the budget, like Green Climate Fund, Adaptation Fund, and other multilateral climate funds. So, according to the National Adaptation Plan implementation, innovation mechanisms and resource mobilization, we want to innovate financing according to the climate bonds, carbon credits, public-private partnerships, and also when it comes to resource mobilization, we made a plan which is short-term, 1 to 2 year, which is like immediate funding from GCF, Adaptation Fund, CHEF, specifically because our most priority is agriculture, we will focus for drought-prone regions. And the second plan is a medium term, 3 to 5 years, and also longer term is a 6 to 10 years. So when we are developing a national adaptation plan and also it is implementation plan, so the problem, there is a key challenge is delayed project implementation, means when we are formulating, there is a challenges like COVID-19 and also federal elections 2021 to 2022 and also implementation modality because this project was directive and modality from UNDP. As a government, we sacrificed it and dedicated to work with them volunteer because Somalia has this document. We are the owners, so we have to work with them and in any way. So also institutional reform. That is the challenges that we face. So for now, we are launching. What will be the next steps? So the next step is how we implement our national adaptation plan. It is 3 key areas. We are securing funding through GCF readiness for NAP 2. We request additional NAP readiness funding from GCF to build the robust pipeline adaptation projects because this adaptation has a different priority. So we wanted to develop projects based on these priorities, focusing our priority areas like water management, agriculture resilience, infrastructure. And also these funds will also support comprehensive feasibility studies because when you wanted to do a project, you need many feasibility studies. So this funding that we are requesting from GCF for NAP2, we wanted to do feasibility studies and also capacitate national and regional stakeholders. And the second, enhancing stakeholder capacities. Within the framework of potential NAP2 readiness, we want to support our international development partners, whether GCF, Adaptation Fund, and other, to facilitate capacity building initiatives for local institutions. Somalia now has many local expertise in their line ministries. So we wanted to capacitate those local expertise to strengthen regional government ability to lead adaptation actions, and also training this to NAP implementation. When you wanted to implement something, you need a training to do that, as well as project management, climate finance, data analysis. All these are the areas that we want to capacitate. And the last one is promoting community-driven adaptation initiatives. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to do our national adaptation plan implementation community-led initiatives. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Abdullahi, for that comprehensive and insightful presentation. I'm now delighted to welcome our distinguished panelists who will share their perspective on how to operationalize the NAP in Somalia and in similar fragile conflict-affected contexts. Our panel include Mr. Thomas Pico, Regional Environment and Energy Team Leader of UNDP Regional Hub for Arab State, Mrs. Mariana Panuncio Feldman, Engagement Director, NDC Partnership, Mrs. Saliha Dobarchik, Programming and Innovation Unit Lead of the Adaptation Fund, Mrs. Ayan Arare, Climate Finance Coordinator of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of Somalia, and Dr. Daouda Ben Umar NDA, Manager of Climate Change and Environment of the Islamic Development Bank. Thank you for coming on stage. We start? Well, thank you. Welcome. I'm going to start with you. Thomas. So Somalia NAP and NDC both emphasize integrated approaches to human development and security. How can the NAP serve as a practical instrument for peace building and resilience, ensuring that adaptation action strengthen institution, governance, and local economies in fragile, conflicted settings like Somalia?
Thank you. First, let me say that I'm very honored to be here today. I'm very pleased to see Somalia launching its NAP. I know that you have launched also your NDC 3.0 in July, I believe, and that you were the first African nation in launching your NDC. So congratulations, and I think that it demonstrates the commitments and the engagement of the Somalia government on those issues. And as several of you mentioned already, for Somalia, it's really a question about survival, no? And it's good to be here. And as many of you mentioned, the NAP is not only a roadmap for climate crisis, but it should really be seen as a framework for inclusive growth, effective governance, and human development in one of the world's most climate vulnerable contexts. So these linkages are indeed very important. So I believe that over the past 3 years in Somalia, there was 1.2 million people that were displaced due to climate change. And so those displacements increase the competition over scarce natural resources, which in return exacerbates the tensions over the natural resources in the host communities. It exacerbates fragility, conflicts, and then in return also it exacerbates the capacities to adapt to climate change. So we are like in the vicious circle. So this is why it is so important to integrated solutions that can address mobility, land use, local governance, and integrating that into the adaptation plan makes the adaptation plan, a tool for peace building. And I think this is very much what we should also consider, is that this kind of tools like the adaptation plan is a vehicle for promoting peace and security at both local level and border level. The NAP is also an opportunity to deliver integrated solutions that provide multiple benefits across the three Rio Conventions and reduce the fragmentation within the environment agendas, but also the fragmentations between the environment agenda, the development agenda, and the peace building and conflict prevention agenda. So the NAP is also a cross-sectoral tool. It includes agriculture, livestock, water, health, infrastructure to address the root causes of fragility and open opportunities for sustainable livelihoods and long-term development. So I believe that the NAP has earmarked $850 million for climate-smart agriculture, $600 million for sustainable water management, $450 million for climate resilient infrastructure. And so this cross-border approach is very important also to deliver on the ground very much integrated solutions, but also sector solutions as well. I just spoke about the financing. I think one of the issues that we have is also about financing, with very limited financing going towards the fragile countries. I think it's less than $2 per capita that goes to fragile countries and conflict-affected countries. So there is a need also to bring innovative financing solutions to implement the NAP, to implement the NDCs, and to implement those integrated solutions. So having like multi-partner approaches coming together, and I think the NAP is a tool also of bringing different stakeholders together, is the right platform to bring also innovative solution for financing adaptation. Also, I believe that the NAP is very important in targeting the most vulnerable. I know that it targets women, people with disability, and it targets these people not as victims, but as agents of development. And I think that it is very important to empower those people, empower communities, so that we also bring in the local solutions on the table, and we scale up those local solutions. And I think that the NAP is also the right tool to take that into consideration. So to conclude, I would like to renew UNDP's commitment in the implementation of the plan. UNDP has a portfolio of about $150 million in the implementation of the NDCs and the NAPs. And UNDP is committed in supporting Somalia through capacity building, climate finance mobilization, and integrated programming at the local level, at the landscape level, that connects the dots between the three Rio Conventions, between the peace building agenda, and between, of course, the development agenda. So with that, I hand over the floor to
Thank you, Thomas, for sharing that inspiring message for UNDP long-standing support to Somalia. adaptation journey. Moving on to my left, Mariana, given that the NDC partnership emphasizes adaptation investment planning, prioritizing of adaptation solutions, capacity building for strategies, how can the partnership support Somalia in advancing the implementation of its national adaptation plan, particularly in mobilizing finance, strengthening institutional capacity, and aligning adaptation action with NDC 3.0 priorities?
Thank you. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And once again, congratulations to the government of Somalia for the launch of the NAP. I think it is important to say that this is the 23rd African country that is launching a NAP. We still have, I think, a long way to go in terms of really integrating adaptation across the board. And so I really want to commend Somalia, the government of Somalia, on this effort. I think in terms of how the partnership has supported the government of Somalia and the opportunities we see in continuing to do so, maybe let me just say briefly how the partnership operates for those of you who are not familiar. So the NDC partnership brings together developing countries, developed countries, and international institutions to drive climate action, to support countries in driving climate action. And basically the way we operate is we support countries through the entire NDC cycle, and basically based on the needs that member countries bring to the partnership, we mobilize support of a wide network of partners, including, for example, UNDP and many others. So, so in that journey with Somalia, we have been proud in supporting in different ways, but particularly on the adaptation front, what I would like to highlight are five I think, ongoing areas and opportunities. The first one is the alignment between the NAP and the NDC 3.0. So the partnership has been able to mobilize support for the development of the NDC 3.0. And again, congratulations to Somalia on a very comprehensive effort to put its NDC strong and early in the process of submission. That alignment is critical so that we don't work on silos. And I think that Somalia's effort in aligning those is already ensuring that with available resources, that there are integrated solutions that are being tackled. The second piece is being able to translate this into investable proposals, investable projects, and as part of that, the NDC partnership, in this case through FAO, with support of the Partnership Action Fund, a multi-donor fund that the NDC partnership has, is right now supporting Somalia's efforts to develop an investment plan that actually is going to be able to tackle that synergy between adaptation priorities in the NDC and the NAP. I think that that's going to be a critical area. The third one is capacity. We all know that part of the challenge in being able to drive climate action is related to capacity constraints. Right now, the partnership is supporting an in-country facilitator who's present here, who has been instrumental in supporting the Somalian government coordination efforts. And the partnership has been able to support not only through this coordination capacity, but also dedicated finance development capacity that, for example, Somalia could access. The journey is a journey and is a long journey, and part of what the partnership does is accompany countries in strengthening different enabling conditions to be able to access finance. And in that journey, we respond to country needs, but we also, with the benefit of right now working with 108 developing countries, we have a great breadth of innovation that is taking place across the membership and a lot of great work that has really informed some resources that both partners and the NDC Partnership Support Unit have been able to put on the table. One that I would like to highlight for our conversation is a climate investment planning and mobilization framework, which has been developed with GCF, that basically helps countries step back from the very, very urgent and dire need to access finance and say, what pieces do I already have in place such as the mandates, the institutional arrangements, the capacities, the integration of climate into budgeting and policy decisions, the pipeline, and what is it that I also need to develop. And so that then informs how countries come back to the partnership to request further support. We have actually developed, together with the Commonwealth Secretariat, the Adaptation Fund, and the Asian Development Bank, an adaptation supplement of this investment framework that is specifically geared to support member countries tackle those bottlenecks to be able to scale up finance. So we very much look forward to working with Somalia to address these bottlenecks and also making connections with institutions that can provide further support and finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana, for sharing the potential of NDC partnership with Somalia. Moving on to Ayan. Ayan, building on the important issue of climate finance, what strategies are being put in place by the Ministry of Environment in Somalia to mobilize the required resources, and how can development partners and private sector support this effort?
Yeah, thank you so much. So it's a historic moment for us today as we launch the National Adaptation Plan, which is the document that will guide us on how to adapt the biggest enemy of humanity, which is the climate change. As the climate finance coordinator for the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, I have a responsibility to ensure that our NDCs and NAPs are implemented, not to be left on the shelf. In Africa, we have been criticized that we develop so many strategies, but implementation is kind of limited. But for Somalia, we are committed, and we are looking forward to, really implement these two documents in scale. To answer that question, what strategies are in place? I'm happy to say that the next policy that we will be launching after this is going to be the National Climate Finance Policy and Strategy for Somalia. Is under draft and in consultation, and we hope to launch that in the next few months. That will guide us on what kind of resources and how and different mechanisms that we are looking forward to be able to access to resources that we need to implement these two documents. Just to start, the climate finance policy will touch in every way that Somalia can have access to climate finance, which the first mechanism that we're going to be using are the vertical funds of the GCF Adaptation Fund and the GEF. Again, we are in communication and in discussion with our bilateral partners, the countries that have been supporting Somalia for many years, to open climate action windows that make our documents a reality. Again, yesterday we all know that the loss and damage fund is operational. We are aware of that. That's an achievement that we have witnessed at COP30. Somalia is going to be the first country to benefit from the loss and damage under the Barbados implementation mechanism, and we already have the concept in place. We are really well prepared. Another way we're looking for is the Article 6 and carbon markets. We recently did a readiness assessment on carbon markets, and our country is ready to develop the policy and regulations that we need to access. So we're looking for 10% of our climate finance to come from Article 6 and carbon markets. So as I said, we also put in place coordination mechanisms. We recognize that Ministry of Environment is just plays coordination role. Climate goes to agriculture, it goes to water, it goes to health. So we've put together a coordination mechanism, very strong one, where Ministry of Planning is part, Ministry of Finance, the Bank of Reconstruction and Development. We have Office of the Prime Minister, the NCF, we have the NCFU. So pipelines will start from our ministry and then be circulated in all ministries that we coordinate with to be able alignment with the National Transformative Plan. So in a nutshell, I can say Somalia is very well ready in terms of strategies, policies, and kind of the mechanisms that we need to access to climate finance. But the issue we have is the global issue that the climate funding is very limited. we're all aware that the 300 billion is like a drop on ocean compared to the needs that we have as developing countries. So at this COP, we are really pushing so hard for the roadmap of 1.3 trillion, so that Somalia can, make implementation of these documents a reality. Dr. Khalif will, agree with me. We have a target of to 1 billion to raise every year to be able to make sure our NAP and NDC is kind of actionable. So thank you so much. I hope I answered your questions on the strategies and policies available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayana. You really highlighted the ambition of Somalia in adaptation. It's not only about climate resilience, it's about governance, stability, and sustainable development, and ensuring that no one is left behind. Let me congratulate the federal government of Somalia and its partners for this milestone. The World Green Economy Organization is proud to host this event and to stand with Somalia as it turns its national adaptation plan into a blueprint for resilience, peace, and prosperity. Thank you.